There are lemons and there are limes, but there's no such thing as a lemon lime.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another new video. Today, I want to create a Polybar module, which is certainly not untapped territory. This is the kind of thing we've done before. I just thought it would be a good idea. What I want is a module that will display basically drive usage, not drive usage, but like how full my main hard drive is. But whenever I went out looking online, I actually had a little bit of difficulty finding that kind of module, and it's not too hard to build one on your own. And if I build it on my own, I can do whatever I want with it, so that's cool, right? Now, in theory, the reason this is its own video is because the method we're going to use to do this is we're basically going to be pulling data from a command to display it in the Polybar. And this is the kind of thing that's pretty universal. There's a lot of these sorts of commands on Linux that will just sort of display information. Got stuff like lsblk-f, which is going to print out information about drives. You've got stuff like you could do IPA if you want to get your IP address or something. Even stuff like neofetch and pfetch. Both display info about your system that you could just sort of easily pull and put into a module or, a D menu bar, or, there's all sorts of other ways you could use this information. What we're really doing is we're writing a script that's just going to process information for us. So it seemed like maybe worthwhile to put into his own video. So if I go into my Polybar settings here, one of the only weird things that might be different from your bar is I do have a config file where I define fonts and the actual bars themselves, and then a separate file where I define the modules. There's no reason you can't keep these all in one file. It's just I'm going to be editing these two different files, whereas I think there's a decent chance you might just be using one of the two files. So let's go ahead and create a new script. So we'll do touch disk.shell. And what we need to do is I'm going to make that script executable. So chmod +x on disk.shell. So if we go to that disk script, I'm going to pull down one of my other scripts because I always forget how to do the shebang that I like to do. Okay, cool. So you have to start the bash script or the shell script with a shebang to tell it what kind of script you want to use. And there's a few different ways you could write this. You could just write /bin/bash. I think you could also do bin/shell, and that's like the POSIX compliant way to write it. The reason that I write it this way, /user/bin env bash, is because in theory this should be super portable. Scripts that you write this way should run on basically any Linux distribution, BSD, Mac OS, and maybe even like PowerShell with a little bit of modification. Don't quote me on that last bit. And if you're not sure which you can use, what you can also just do, just to be completely clear, is you can just try to run like /bin/bash. If you have a program in there, there's no reason you can't just do shebang/bin bash. Same thing here. If you have bin/shell, you're all set. Which if you're on Linux, especially if you're on Arch Linux, you should definitely. But this just seems like the good way to write it. Anyways, once we're in there, let's do some experimenting. So like I said, what I want is to pull down information from my main system hard drive. And if I look in here, lsblk-f, this is generally the command that I like to use to check some stuff. You can see it'll print out, this is my Arch Linux drive in NVMe, and there's three partitions here, a Btrfs main partition that has 148 gigs available. It's 67% used. Then there's vfet swap and a couple other things. I could use this to go forward making the script, but what I actually want to use is something called df, which is a program that does a kind of similar thing. It actually gives you slightly more not more information, but the same information presented differently for not just the NVMe drive right here, your slash drive, but also basically every mounted drive that it can find in your system. Now, if you're going to use this command, you probably want to use df-h, which is going to actually give you like human readable values here. So you can see, instead of telling me that I have used some unreadable amount of data on my main drive. It's telling me, hey, you've used 334 gigs. And the reason specifically that I want to use df-h rather than lsbok is because df actually allows you to just select the drive that you want to run. So if I were to select, like here, this is a drive where I archive some stuff. If I wanted to run on /mnt Falcon files, it'll print out just the information for that. And likewise, I can of course just run it on / our root partition, and it'll give me just information for the main root partition. So from here, we just need to clean this up and get sort of a clean output. So the first thing we could do is we want to knock off this first line that's sort of defining what we're looking at, which we can do pretty easily if we pipe it through grep, and we're going to do grep-ve, and you need to surround that in some quotes, and then you have to start it with the caret. And then what grep is really good at is selecting, and in this case, since we use -ve, removing a line from the setup here. And the way we select the line is by typing in whatever the content of the first field is. So this bit right here, file system, is field 1, this is field 2, this is field 3, this is field 4, this is field 5, this is field 6. So if I were to type in here, file system, what should happen is it will just remove that entire top line and give us just this info down here. And so now we just need to select just the bit that we want, which, if you are familiar with awk, you will know is quite easy to do now. What I'm gonna do is select this percentage used on my drive, 68%. So as I said just a second ago, this bit right here is field 1, field 2, field 3, field 4, and field 5. So we're going to do awk, and you surround it in the quotes again, and then you need some squigglies, and then inside of there you're going to say print with the $, print field 5. And assuming that you can manage to spell it right, you'll now see we've managed to get down to just a super, super clean input, 68%. And of course, this is going to change if I, open up Steam for a second. I'll probably get a big game I can uninstall real quick. Yeah, here, look at that. Star Wars Squadrons. That'll make a difference. Uninstall that. Okay, and then you can see whenever we refresh, hey, now we've only used 63% of our drive. I thought that was a bigger game than it actually ended up being. It would make more of a difference, but it doesn't matter because we do have a difference. Oh, well, now it's actually down to 61. So now what we want to do is we just want to work this into an actual Polybar module. So I'm going to save this right here. And what we can do is literally just go into our disk script. And I think if we just sort of pop that in there and then run, boom, we're good. So let's go ahead and go into your Polybar config. I'm going to go into the modules.ini, which is where I store my scripts, or my modules, sorry. And then what I'll do is I'll come down here and let's go ahead and create a new module. So I'll do module / and we'll give it a name. Disk seems to work fine. And then let's go ahead and we're going to do type equals custom script. We're going to need an interval because we need it to refresh some amount of times per minute, second, whatever. I'm pretty sure this value is in seconds. So you could set it to 1 second. I'm going to set it to 300 seconds, which I'm pretty sure works out to 5 minutes. Then once you have that, we're going to set a format prefix where we can put an icon in, sort of the way a lot of these modules up here have an icon in front of them. And for now, I'll just set it to be like A or something. Or let's surround it in quotes. We'll do A. There we go. And then if you do that, you have to do format and label. And this is how you make sure that it prints correctly. It's going to print the label or this format prefix bit, and then it's going to print the actual exec line down here. And then what we need to do is just execute the command. So what we can do is we can just link it into config /polybar /disk.shell. If you want to store your script somewhere else, obviously do that and just make sure you link it up here correctly. And then as far as actually getting an icon goes, I am a nerdfonts guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to nerdfonts.com/cheat sheet. And then what you can do from here is just search for glyphs that you like. So I'm going to search for like a disk usage glyph. And hey, there we go. There's one right there that'll work. That looks nice. Now, if you're using Font Awesome or something else, obviously, paste in a different icon. But I am going to drop that one in. Go ahead and save. And then from here, all we should need to do is go into the normal config, find our bar. And then what I'm going to do is let's maybe replace this YouTube counter deal with the disk module. And in theory, I'm going to have to manually kill and restart Polybar because I've got some weird stuff going on here, but don't worry about that. You can see, hey, look at that. Now we have, instead of that YouTube sub count monitoring thing, we've got a nice little script that's going to print out the percentage used on our drive. So this is cool, but we can actually take it a little bit further, and I do want to. I want to have two things printed. I want to have the percent used on our drive, and I also just want to have the total space remaining, because I think those are both sort of useful pieces of information to have. So what we can do is let's go back into that disk script, and we could just sort of literally make a copy. And if you remember right, whenever we ran df-h, df-h, the percent used was on field 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the percent available, or the total remaining space, was on field 4. So what we should be able to do in theory is just come right back in there, and instead of printing the 5th field here, for the 2nd bit, we could print the 4th field here. That'll do what we want, but just it won't run the same thing twice in a command. What we need to do is drop these into variables. So what I'll do is I'll make a little bit of space here, and in Bash, it's really easy to create a variable. I'll create one called %, which you just do by typing a word, adding a $sign, surrounding it in parenthesis. Go ahead and tab that over, put that one in, and then if I were to, let's say, like comment out, and then come down here and let's say echo out that % variable, you can see how that would work. We get an error. Line 5, %61 command not found. What? Line 5. Oh, you know what? I think I probably typed in the variable wrong. So, oh, you know what it is? You have to do % equals is what I did wrong there, and then it's $sign. So the way you do the variable is you type in name o variable, and then $sign, and put your variable right inside of here. Okay, so I screwed that up. So now, if I go ahead and copy that, run it again, cool, it's printing that out, and then we can come back in here, edit again, make a copy of that, and let's print out instead, we'll print out 4, and we'll change the name of the variable to remaining, and then we could just have it do remaining. Okay, exit, run it again. Everything looks good. I'm just gonna let me try to find the bullet point symbol. Take that and sort of put it in place of the comma. There's nothing special about the bullet point symbol. It's literally just a delimiter. So you could put any symbol you want. You could use another thing from Nerd Fonts in there to do it. But it looks like it has already refreshed to show both things. But if I were to go ahead and kill Polybar again and then run the bar, hey, look at that. Beautiful, nice little module telling us both the percentage used on our drive and also the percentage remaining, which is cool. That's what I want. That's a good thing to keep track of. I don't actually keep a ton of storage on my main systems. It's just because I have a server where I store a lot of stuff, so it doesn't make sense to have huge hard drives on all my systems when I'm just storing them offline, storing data offline anyways. Surprise! Probably not a surprise to anyone. I'm bad at making videos, and there were a couple of kind of important things I forgot to mention. I was sitting here getting ready to edit. So first thing, I will leave a link in the description, but I did actually create a GitHub repo for this script that you can check out if you want. It includes like a sample config that you can copy and paste. You can also copy and paste the module from down here, and it does include the script that you can just download if you don't want to write it yourself. It does only display the percentage of the disk use, but you can, copy this line twice and do the variable thing like I said, or you can just change this field number right here to 3 to, I think, print the storage used, or 4 to print the storage remaining, or whatever else you want to do. You can customize it however you want, but I will drop that in the description if you're interested. I did also do a pull request to get it added to the, the Polybar scripts thing that the Polybar team on GitHub maintains. So they may or may not add that at some point. But the other thing I wanted to mention, let me open up a terminal here. Let me see, let me SSH into a server here. And then if I go into that test script, the other thing that I wanted to mention is you could theoretically make this more efficient. I think that's something that people do, writing. God damn, scripts, and that's probably a good idea. This script as it is basically, let's see here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 processes that it's running in order to get you a result. Like, so it's running DH, and it's grepping out to remove the top line, and then using awk to print the field, and it's doing all that again, and then echoing out those two variables, storing both of those in a variable. And so, like, in theory, you could maybe create a variable that includes the grep and the DH command on one line, and then just two different variables that use awk to print whatever field. I don't know. Check the comments. I've said it a million times. I'm not a programmer, not a developer. So if anyone in the comments knows a more efficient way to write this, feel free to let us know, and I'll fix it on GitHub or something. But I mean, the thing is, if you just run the script, it fails. Because why? I don't have DH installed. So, oh, and I guess DH isn't in Ubuntu. Whatever, I'll figure that out later. The point is, it still runs instantly. It's fine doing it this way, but there is like probably a better way to write the script. So if you're watching the video, scroll to the comments, check it out. I'm sure if there's a better way to do it, somebody has dropped it there, and thanks in advance. All right, but really, like I said, the main idea is that the tools themselves, grep and awk, are super useful for doing all sorts of crazy ass stuff. You know, let's say we wanted to make a little command to show the uptime for our system. That's actually something that's really easy to do. We can use pfetch, and the great thing about pfetch is actually it has a way built in to sort of automatically print out just one line, so you don't even really have to use grep to do anything. So the way that would work is you could do, forget how to do it here. I've got to pull up my instructions here. pf info is the way that you can do it, or pf_info equals. And then I think you literally just, in quotes, give it the name of what you want to print out. So in this case, we would do uptime. And, oh, no, it didn't work. Oh, you have to give it the location to pfetch. Where is pfetch on my system? Okay, cool. So you do that. pf_info equals uptime, and then give it /usr bin pfetch or whatever, wherever pfetch is stored on your system, and it'll print out uptime 50. And then from there, maybe we could use awk again. You can just run uptime to get there, and you just have to. We just need to get it in a more like readable manner. So we could do uptime -p, and yeah, there we go. Run it through awk again and filter out some shit here. Print 2, maybe? Nope. You would want 2 and 3. Yeah, so that'll do 1 hour. So, and that should sort of stay in the first place. So if it was like some amount of days, it would display the days. If it's only hours, it'll display the hours. And I mean, in theory, if it's only minutes, it would display the minutes. So it'll sort of just go to like the least value. And then you'd probably want to use set or something to get rid of that comma. I don't know, maybe it's fine. Maybe you could leave it there. I don't know. I think you get the idea for the most part. Building these little Polybar modules isn't a horribly difficult thing to do, and kind of fun. It's a good way to waste a few hours if you're just bored. I don't know. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you in the next video.
I don't care what it says, there's no such thing.